Welcome to Indy's Real Estate Gurus, your ultimate guide to the dynamic world of real estate in Indiana. And I'm Rick Ripma, your hardworking mortgage guy, and I've been in real estate and mortgages for over 24 years.
And I'm Ian Arnold, a loan officer on Rick's hardworking mortgage team, and we are both with Advisors Mortgage Group. Together, we'll empower you with expert advice, market trends, and successful stories from guru realtors and local experts.
Whether you're a homeowner, investor, or pro, join us as we navigate the thriving Indy real estate market.
Now get ready to unlock the doors of success, one episode at a time.
And today, we're really excited to have Jerry Gordon. Jerry's with FC Tucker. And you do a fantastic job. I've read the reviews. I've watched your video that you have online about yourself and some of the testimonials you have. And you obviously are a phenomenal agent. You do a phenomenal job. I'm not 100% sure how long you've been in the business, but I do know you're a new father.
Yes, that's correct. Well, super excited to be here. Big fan of you guys. I love the energy you guys bring. You guys do a great job with the show. So
Thank you.
Big fan of you. So thanks for having me on.
Appreciate it. And we're thrilled to have you on. And we, as since you watch, we know, that we like to start with, where'd you grow up? What's your background before real estate?
So before real estate, man. Okay. So I would say that, so I'm born and raised in Indianapolis, Hoosier. And I would say that I graduated from the Kelley School of Business with a degree in finance in 2008. And what a time to be alive and interviewing. So, people were talking about recession, but I really didn't feel it until I really got out there. And I was interviewing for a lot of investment banking firms and the wealth management side of the industry. And finally, I ended up going to work for my dad, a little shameless plug of Gordon Plumbing there. And I ran one of his divisions for a couple of years. And then a friend from school at IU came back into town, and he mentioned if I wanted to flip some houses. And, I said, yeah, show me the ropes. And so at that point, we started flipping houses, and this was, graduate, like I said, from 2008 to 2010, and then finally about 2012, I saw the market shifting a little bit towards the brokerage side. And it's funny because I kind of thought, all I have to do is do this search engine optimization. And it's funny because I bet, Rick, you don't remember, but I came into your office over in Castleton.
Oh, did you really?
And I asked if you wanted to be on my website. And you did. And so I actually, because I wanted to have the links back and forth.
Right.
So long and short, that's kind of, I knew FC Tucker. I had a good family friend who was one of the managers over at the Castleton office. He was one of two. And the second, and I think the total of them combined had an experience of over, maybe 60, 70 years.
Wow.
And they were so similar, but also at the same time, great mentors and just different. And so I knew that I was in good hands, and that's kind of how I got into the brokerage side.
Okay. So you were investing in real estate, flipping houses, and then which is another area that tends to be a pretty good move. A lot of people do it just so they can buy houses and be their own agent, and sell their own houses. But you did it, and then you must have found that you really enjoyed being a real estate agent.
Yeah, it's something that I still have a passion about, and I still actively, when the right deals, when they are few and far between now, but when I do do find something, I do still like to be an investor with.
Okay.
And so, yeah, that ultimately led me to become an agent.
Yeah. And so you had said that you did the SEO for website and you thought that was going to be the thing. I'm guessing that didn't work as well as you were hoping to get your real estate business off the ground.
Yeah, that wasn't, it was kind of thought I had this something in my head that just, I was going to build this website that had, and all of a sudden I was going to press enter and the leads were going to just flow in. But that was shortly lived for about 30 seconds after I had my website started up. And then after that, I realized, well, I'm in my early 20s. My friends aren't really buying houses, and I've got to pay some bills. So, what I did was at that time was kind of emulated in what I saw, what really, in my opinion, successful agents in the office were doing. And there were a couple that were hitting the phones and hitting expired listings. And, I remember being up probably until 2 o'clock in the morning, maybe 2 or 3 in the morning, going into the office at 6 and dialing, just cold calling. And that's just how for the first year when I was, rookie of the year at FC Tucker, that's how I made my business.
Yeah. So what I always hear is you worked. Okay.
Yeah.
You worked, right? Now, calling is vitally important, is it not? I mean, especially to get your business off the ground.
In my opinion, yes.
Yes. Yeah. Everybody has a different way of doing things, but I think that you have to be successful. And this is a tough business. Real estate agent, it's a tough job to get going in. It's an easy job to get started. I mean, in other words, you get your license, and even the license isn't that easy. But everybody will hire you, and then you're kind of on your own, and you got to figure out. You got to have the right mentors. Sounds like you had great mentors.
Great mentors.
You were in a great environment, and then you actually worked. And you made adjustments because you thought, well, it would work this way, which is what a lot of people do, isn't it? They watch HGTV, they see those things, and they have like to talk about the misconceptions that people have about what is real estate. So for a brand new person, the misconception a lot of times is it's easy.
My dad always said, when I was getting into real estate, he's like, that's a what do you say? That's a tough nut to crack.
Yeah. And he has a plumbing business.
Yeah.
A big plumbing business.
So, that I just remember him saying, like, that's a tough nut to crack. But, it's one of the things you just got to make sure that you stick with. And, there's a lot of things and I can attribute to, and I think we'll get into that.
Yeah.
So you mentioned your mentors. So
Yep. What
what type of expert advice do you think your mentors gave you to help you succeed?
Man, I think that I'd definitely be remiss if I didn't say that my parents didn't instill a work ethic in me to not only stay positive, be self-motivated, show up. Every day, it doesn't matter. You have to show up. And so I think that they instilled a work ethic in me to make sure that it doesn't matter whatever you're doing. That is how, you got to be successful. And then you sprinkle a little bit of serendipity in there, and you go to work.
Yep. No, I fully agree. I mean, it's just like I try to teach my kids, sleeping in is not an option. You got to get up, you got to go to work, And then the nice thing with us, sometimes you had probably work from home at times, and I work from home, and it's nice that the kids see me working, making my phone calls. And one day my son looked at me and goes, "Oh, you're doing a good job making phone calls." I'm like, all right, that makes me feel a little good, but I'm glad that he can watch me. And so hopefully that builds into him.
I frankly love going into the office. I love going in, and not only does it give me time to think, but, and obviously listen to this podcast when I'm on my way to the office, but it gives me time to think about certain things. And then it also, when I'm there, it's a good environment. It's a good environment to know and to bounce ideas off, and to make sure that you're doing the right thing. That's what I really enjoy.
Yeah, it's a vital. I'm one who I believe in going into the office. I think that especially if you have a lot of agents there, you can hear and learn so much, and you can also help others learn because they can hear you and see what you're doing. You can lead by example. The fact that you would go in when you're brand new and do phone calls and make sure. Now, do you still do those? Do you still have a time where you make your calls?
So I make it a priority to still touch base with my sphere. I would say that expired listings are a little bit more difficult now.
They aren't there.
Right. But I am absolutely religious about staying in contact with my database.
Yeah. So you're still doing what you have to do to stay in front of everybody.
Yeah, and I'm the guy. Some people like texts, and or some people may like emails. You know what? I'm calling you, and I want to hear the voice. I want to hear how you're doing. And you know what? That's just how I am. So. Yeah. I know some people may want to text, and that's fine, or email, or if I can get face to face, that's great. But that's just how I am. I like to be with people.
I'm like you. I much prefer to talk on the phone, but I've learned that I have to do it the way the customer wants it.
Right.
And sometimes like I have, and you probably do too. I have so many customers that I've worked with, and so many people that I've worked with, that I can't call everybody. You just can't do it.
Right.
So you have to make calls, but you still have to have other things going, to keep yourself out there, and let people know you're there to help. If they have any issues or need anything, that you can help.
Time is a very precious commodity,
isn't it? Yep.
Well, I want people to be able to say they got a call from you. So what's the best way somebody can get a hold of you?
Best way to reach me would be call or text. You can call me at 317-997-9945. Again, 317-997-9945. I know that's a lot of nines, but either that or shoot me a message on any platform. Just basically look up Jerry Gordon Real Estate on Instagram, Facebook, whatever it may be, and you can reach me there too.
And Jerry Gordon Real Estate on any of those social media sites. And Gordon is spelled Gordon.
Yep, I know you're a speller.
I'm a great speller.
Yeah.
I can spell and, A-N-D, and I-T. Got those two down.
Gordon.
There you go. I just wanted to make sure, because, you never know. Somebody could misspell it.
Yeah, yes, that is true.
And I think it's the problem with mortgage. It's amazing how many people misspell mortgage.
Yeah, or realtor.
Yeah. Yeah, they missay it too.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we all like to put an A in there, realtor, and it's not that. So I want to get off that a little bit. I know Ian's going to get into it, but you are a new father. Now you have two kids or three?
Two kids under a year and a half.
Okay. And one's just 4 months old.
4 months and 17 months.
And they're not sleeping through the night consistently. So you've been how's that going?
look at me.
You do look a little tired.
I feel great. My heart is full, so that's all that matters.
Yeah.
Right. Because I'm truly blessed. I'm very grateful. I have just the best family. My wife is amazing. She's a badass. So, I'm just very grateful for
That's
everything
awesome.
I have.
So, how would you rate your diaper changing skills?
Oh, I'll challenge anybody. Challenge anybody.
And he uses real diapers.
Again, I'm a plumber's son, so I have plenty of experience when it comes to changing diapers.
Yeah. Well, you probably are pretty mechanical.
Yeah, a lot more than I probably could have been, but I'm more inclined. But yeah, I know way around some tools and some wrenches and stuff like that. My brother is definitely he's more involved with the plumbing business, and he and I have some investments, and so he's definitely more on the mechanical and hands-on side.
Okay. So how does it help your real estate business to have been in the plumbing business and been flipping houses? How does that? It has to help. It has to be valuable for helping people buy and sell homes.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's just something that just subconsciously, having worked for summers with my dad, and just knowing what goes to the pipe and how it flows and everything like that. But once you learn about how a house is constructed, and obviously you do enough new builds, and there's just anything you practice, you get good enough at. So, and I just find that very fascinating on how a house works. So yeah, there is a lot of overlap in that.
Yeah, I would think there would be. So what would you say your superpower or superpowers are?
Oh, superpowers.
I know diaper changing is one.
Well, I guess it depends on who you ask. Because, I really pride myself on being able to, if a email or a text comes in from a client, my sense of urgency to just get it, answer the question, and just get it off my plate, and so that my clients aren't waiting. And no one likes to wait and be unsure of something. With that, I would say that my wife may not appreciate that all the time. So I would say that my intuition's pretty good, and my loyalty. So I don't know if Stan Lee's going to be making any comic books lately, but maybe I'll get some royalties out of something like that.
It's funny because I'm the same as you as far as my sense of urgency.
Yeah.
And I've always believed, and I think it's very true, that your strengths are also your weaknesses. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of what you're saying. For me, I sometimes answer too quickly. I don't think through fat enough sometimes, because I just want to get it. I want to get things answered. I hate to make people wait. I don't like waiting. I don't want them to wait. But sometimes it's actually a detriment to me.
It's not that like you. I think that things still need to evolve and come out. And like if you shoot off an answer so fast, sometimes like you're kind of putting the cart before the horse.
Yeah, it's me. You're better at it than I am. 'Cause I tend to put the cart before. It's like, okay, I can solve this, and I move right on, man. And then, after you think a couple hours, and it's like, yeah, maybe I should have done this.
All right, so let's get to know you a little bit more. So I understand the babies, but besides them, if I take away your phone for 24 hours, you cannot work. What do we catch you doing for fun?
I think I can answer this. He's going to be sleeping. No, go ahead.
I said for fun. Sleeping's not fun.
Man, like I said, I'm born and raised here. I love I love Indianapolis. I love the state. I love being a tourist in my state, and that means, always finding something new. I mean, nowadays, parks and are being built, restaurants are being built. I know it sounds cheesy, but I really enjoy it. I love going to concerts, sporting events. I really love being involved with extracurriculars and seeing what's going on with my clients. Yeah, I may spread myself a little thin sometimes, but at the end of the day, being with my family and making sure they're happy, that's what all that, put that into a pot stew, that's where you're going to find me.
Yeah, I will fully agree with you. Parks around here have gotten crazy. They're nothing like when we grew up.
Yeah.
It's like a spaceship on some of these. I've been to some of these in here in Carmel and took my kids there, and I'm like, what is all this? I'm like, I want to go play. I don't know if I'll fit in some of these tubes, but I want to go play.
I was just out there with my brother and my kids and his kids last Saturday, and I was squeezing up through trying to shimmy down to the slides. And
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
And I was just saying that, we had a good cousin day, and it was just one of those things like, where were these parks when we were growing up?
Yeah, there's a bunch of like Ninja Warrior stuff in some of these.
So where's your favorite park? What's your favorite park?
Oh, man. Let me find them all, and then I'll tell you that.
Yeah, I was reading something the other day. I don't remember it was in a smaller city around here, but they said you have to go see this park for kids. I'll have to find it and send it to you if I can find it.
Yeah, please do. Like I said, like it's there's just my wife and I love to travel, and we were just talking the other day. We went to Cataract Falls, which is just right a couple hours away. And then it was probably 4 years ago to the day, we were in Havasu Falls, which is one of the most spectacular places we've ever been, and that's in the United States. And so, like I said, we love to travel. We're active, and some of it's just breathtaking to see. Now, again, my kids are young, so can't really do that with them right now. But it's just something that we would love to take them to and eventually see.
Yeah, the whole country has lots of great parks, but that's the thing. You see some of these pictures from all over the world, and there's places you go, wow, I want to go see that. That looks.
You don't even have to go across the pond. You can be right here.
Yeah, there's plenty here.
Mm-hmm.
Lots to do here. My dad was always into parks, so we did a lot of parks, and my kids are birders, so they actually, one of them owns a bird tour company, so they take people all over the world birding.
Mm-hmm.
And some of the things he goes to and the parks he goes to for birding and things, it's just phenomenal what's out there.
It is.
It is phenomenal. So I don't know if I should ask the question on this. So let me go ahead, Ian. Go ahead and ask your question.
So what would you consider like your motto, or what are you known for?
What am I known for? That's a good question. I think at the end of the day, it's all about if you're able to look yourself in the mirror, right? And I think my dad taught me that at a young age, and comes down to if you do right by yourself and your client, right, and having integrity. So I would say that there's a lot of things that I'm proud of. I'm proud of how I conduct my business, But I would also like to say that I'm proud of being able to make my clients feel like they're the sole clients. They're my only clients. And, I have I'll have someone sometimes say, I say, hey, I'm walking into me, and they said, oh, I'm not your only client. And it's like, I'm glad I make you feel like that. And that's the job. And so, and I joke with them sometimes like, hey, when you use me, you get me. Unfortunately, for better or for worse, I don't have a coordinator. It's just me. And so when you use me, you're getting me at all times of the day. And sometimes when deals close, they're like, we were talking like 5, 6, 7 times a day, and now we're talking a few times. Like, is everything okay? Like, yeah, guys, everything's great. But so I really like to make sure that everyone feels like they have that custom, unique feeling of being my sole client.
Yeah. And based on your reviews, I would say they do. And based on what you said, obviously, but on the reviews, that's the way people feel. You do a good job at that. But obviously, because it's real vitally important to you.
Yeah, I want everybody to feel that they have that unique experience, because when you're dealing with some of the most valuable, biggest asset, I want them to know that I'm hands-on every step of the way.
Yep. Now, how are you able to accomplish that with the volume that you do? So you do a lot of volume. There's a lot to do. How do you keep track of everything? How do you manage that and keep organized?
At the end of the day, it's just really comes down to having a system for myself. And it's just making sure that everybody is on the same page. I mean, you guys know from being on the lending side that if there's no communication from one side, or if someone's dragging their feet, things can get a little messy. So, but if everybody's on the same page and all expectations are set out front, in deadlines and timelines, and here's how it goes, it's so much easier, so much smoother. You guys know that from your side.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing I think we find out is if you don't have good communication skills, every bad thought that could possibly go wrong goes through that customer's head.
It goes through their head, absolutely.
Because if you haven't talked to them, let's say in a few days, they're like, "Wait, did that inspection not come back good? Or what? Did this? What does this mean? What is so?"
Exactly, and that's why going back to your question, Rick, about sense of urgency, is that you keep people waiting for too long. Those thoughts creep into people's heads.
Yep.
And I would much rather just answer them and make sure that and gives everybody some relief than have them wait and think about, okay, gosh, what's because it's never ever anything good. It never goes to a good spot. It always goes to the worst spot.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny, for years, I always thought, well, there's nothing to tell them. What are you going to call them about? And then I changed it all up, and now I call basically every Tuesday and just tell them everything's going fine.
That's all you need.
That's all they need to know, right? And I feel the same way about a real estate agent. Okay, the real estate agent's the same way. The listing agent, the buyer's agent, they're the same way. If we're going through a process, we're doing the loan, if I'm not talking to them and telling them everything's fine, they don't know. So they're going to think, we're all human, right? We're going to run down that to the negative place of what's going wrong. So I make sure, Ian and I both, we make sure everybody knows.
Yeah, you guys do a great job of that. And that's one thing why you guys are one of the many, many reasons why you guys are so successful, is because of the communication and like the systems that you guys have to make sure that, hey, whether it's good news or bad news, you're going to hear from me. Yeah. And that's what I like to tell my clients as well. When you're selling a house, whether it's good news or bad news, you're going to hear from me.
Yeah.
And, sometimes hey, nothing's new, but you're going to hear from me.
Yep. And the good news is fun to tell. The bad news is vital.
Yeah.
You know, it's so, you know, we talked about people who they'd rather text or this. Oh, there's people who don't want to tell you the bad news. So they want to text it. They want to do it in email. I will only do that if I cannot get a hold of the person.
Yeah.
That's the only way I'll do it, because they need to know, but I'm going to try calling them first, because you really need to talk it through. And
text can be misinterpreted.
Absolutely. So can email.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The tone, everything like that. So, you know, you got to make sure you know how to communicate and that's vital to your clients.
I mean, the other thing is you just don't know what other things. You could be talking to a customer on the phone and be like, oh, you're going to need a little bit more down payment or whatever. And they'll be like, oh, yeah, my parents are gifting us. They can gift us some money. Well, there's a solution right then and there. No reason to fret, no reason to do anything. So I fully agree, especially bad news has to be delivered on the phone, because you never know what solutions could be solved really quickly right then and there.
It's all about solutions.
Yep.
Solutions, right? You know, I mean, you figure out enough solutions and we can all go home at the end of the day.
Right.
All right. You know, if we all, you know, walked away at our first speed bump, none of us would be here today.
Right.
So, you know, I mean, I think that says enough about all of us, our tenacity.
Yeah. And, you know, it's important that you have solutions. But the biggest thing I noticed, as you look back at the problems that we've all run into over and over again, very few of them derailed the deal. Almost always we can fix it.
Yeah, you know, I think back and, you know, over the course, and I probably, you know, a lot of times someone says like, hey, what's your most memorable deal? Or what's something that sticks out? And it's like, man, I can honestly think back to every single house or client and think of something. And most of the times it's not even something about the house that they bought. It may have occurred a house we saw before, or, you know, afterwards, or, you know, whatever it may be. But it's all about finding solutions and finding what's right and to them.
So I want people to be able to either buy or sell a home or just talk real estate with you and get through any roadblocks that may come through. How would they get in touch with you?
Well, the best way to reach me would be phone or text. Area code 317-997-9945. That's 317-997-9945. And either that or just look up Jerry Gordon Real Estate, Gordon, on Instagram or Facebook and shoot me a message.
And Jerry's with a J, Jerry.
Jerry.
When you said that, I don't know why, but all of a sudden I thought, I wonder if does anybody ever spell it with a G?
Only Spice Girls.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
No, spell it with a J. Don't spell it with a G.
Yeah.
See,
there you go.
He missed it, or his parents missed it. They should just name him Jeff. Could you imagine Jeff Gordon Real Estate? Oh, I mean, he would have been booming.
He's already Jag.
So, all right. So we're going to get into what we like to do, the question of the week. And since you listen to our show quite a bit, you already know the question. But what was your first car?
My first car, well, so you guys, I know that you're the hard-working guys, but you guys are, as I can tell from your studio here, you guys are car guys too, huh?
Mm-hmm. I'm a car guy, big time car guy.
So my first car was my dad's first car, which was a 1976 CJ5 Jeep Wrangler. It was a V8, 3-speed, badass. It man, you threw that into 4-wheel low, it would tow a semi. And didn't have any doors, windshield wipers didn't work, heat didn't work, and driving to morning practice every day sucked. But man, I loved that car. And I had a lot of memories with that car.
He must have kept it in the garage. because those would rust quite a bit. And for it to be his first and then your first.
Yeah, so after we took it to my buddy's body shop, completely restored it, and didn't have, again, in 1976, no power steering, short wheelbase. I mean, the thing would... Oh, man, that's just... now that you're talking about it, it just brings back a lot of memories, but it just... Yeah, it was definitely... I had it outside. I mean, it didn't matter if it got rained on. I was driving it, and it was a great car. I loved it.
Yeah, they were. I had a 73, and I had a 76, and man. My son. It was one of his first cars. My middle son was a Jeep Wrangler, but it was a... what year? 2000 something. I don't remember. Maybe before that. But those old ones, though, that 73 and the 76, just like you're saying, they were just they just worked because they didn't have anything.
Oh man, civilian Jeeps, man.
Yeah,
man, you can't build them like they used to.
No, they were a lot of fun. I love those cars. Now, have you had any cars since then that you love as much or nearly as much as that car?
No.
When
I got, my latest car, they just said, what do you want? It was kind of like buying a house. I just said, all I care about is just hands-free Bluetooth.
Okay.
That's all I care about.
What did you end up with? Because you could end up with a lot of cars if that's your only requirement.
No, it was one of those things. And that's a whole story too, because a client, after we got a purchase agreement signed, totaled my car, and that's a whole long thing. But we ended up, I ended up just going and getting a car, and it was a Chevy Equinox.
Okay. Now, did you have a
Maserati?
Once upon a time, and so that's just a whole long thing.
Yeah.
Oh, those are just money buckets.
Yeah.
I know, but all I remember is the song. Okay, my Maserati does 185. I lost my license. Now I don't drive.
No, I don't drive.
I love that. But I know they're money buckets, but I love cars. So your Jeep, I have to ask one other question. What color was it?
It's funny you asked that. So I wanted to have a license plate and call it Deja Blue.
Oh, okay.
It's because it was metallic blue. And so it was blue when it shined in the light, and black when it was at night.
Great color.
Yeah.
Great color.
I really liked it.
Yeah. Well, I love cars, and that sounds like a good one. And you're a car guy now?
Not particularly.
No?
But I like I said, I when being around moto heads like you guys, I always love chatting it up.
So when are you going to buy a 76 Jeep CJ5?
Man, when his kids are ready to drive.
Yeah, I remember because we talk about my dad. He taught us. That was how I learned how to drive. Was on a stick on the back roads of country. And I mean, nowadays, like, where is the country, right? And it probably took a lot of patience and a lot of whiplash from him popping out of gear. But once same thing happened when we were I was learning how to drive a motorcycle. But that was I have a lot of fun memories with my dad learning how to drive, because after that, once you get into automatic, it's fine.
It's a little easier.
A little easier.
But it's more fun to have a stick, at least when you're young. Yeah. Now I don't want a stick, but back then everything I had was a stick.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just love cars, so I could talk about them all day. So what do you spend most of your time doing as a real estate agent? We're shifting gears. We're going back to real estate. What do you spend most of your time doing as a realtor?
It just depends on the day. So, I think that for anybody who's getting into this business, you really got to know your strengths. You know, I think that in this business, there's a million ways to skin a cat.
Yep.
And in this business, there's plenty of deals to go around. You know, there's no gatekeeping here. And so I hear people say, oh, you got to do, you know, open houses, or you got to send out mailers. And they're not wrong. But I think people really need to know their strengths. You know, for example, I enjoy doing video content and talking with people about it. I enjoy getting on the phone and talking to people in my sphere and seeing what's going on in their lives rather than sitting at an open house for 2 hours. You know, so I think you really need to know what your strengths are. And like I said, you know, I'm a one-man shop. So my days, if you look at my calendar, might make you fall over. But, you know, I know that, you know, got to get up. And like I said, you got to get up and get going.
Yeah.
So you briefly hinted on your memorable deals. So I want to hear an entertaining story that you've had as a transaction.
An entertaining story. Jeez. Well, I mean, there's things all the way from pets being, you know, falling down stairs during a showing. There's been, there's technical standpoints of, like, you know, for example, this is just something that's right off the top of my head, was that we did a first right, and then we, you know, they were trying to sell their house, and we extended it. We got an amendment to extend it, and then finally we removed the first right after they sold their house. It was going on, and then everything was going well, and then literally a week before closing, they got relocated, and it was just completely out of my hands. So, you know, it was just like, well, you know, just, you know, I mean, you can plan everything down to a T, but sometimes it's just out of your control. And, you know, I mean, like I said, I from flipping houses to now, I've seen so many things that that everybody was just, you know, like I said, I've seen a lot of things, but I can literally go through every single client and drum up a memory from them, and I truly enjoyed that, being a part of everyone's lives.
Well, was it embarrassing to fall down the stairs when you're in a showing? Was it you who fell down?
No, you said an animal.
An
animal fell down the stairs.
I was down in the basement and with a buyer, and all of a sudden they said, well, watch out for the blind dog. And I said, okay. And then all of a sudden I hear doo, 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 and thought, well, that sounded weird. And then I turned around, and it was the blind dog down the basement.
Oh.
So how do you get a blind dog back upstairs? So
How big was it?
big enough that I didn't want to get bit by it.
So how'd you get it up? You didn't.
I took the front 2 paws. He took the back 2 paws. We walked it up. And,
Okay.
And
You didn't feel bad for that.
I did.
That's bad. And probably because you wouldn't think they'd keep it there, but probably usually leave that door shut, right?
Yes, exactly. That's why it was. Yeah, when we didn't end up buying that house. Like I said, usually it's not on the houses that you end up buying.
Yeah. So what are you most excited about as you look out to the next 6 months to a year?
Oh, that's a good question. So, man, when I first got into this business, I would have never, like I'm definitely a social butterfly, but I would never have thought of how entwined I have become in people's lives and the conversations and people I've met and where this industry has taken me. You know, I've always been very social, but the people I've met and, you know, you do right and, you know, people will refer you and recommend you. So I think that I know it's corny to say, but I think that I'm really looking forward to who I'm going to meet and talk with. And, you know, long picture wise, I'd say that, you know, now that I'm a dad, and this is just maybe the finance nerd in me, but teaching my children about generational wealth, you know, and about assets and about how income and passive income and really knowing and passing that down and having them see that's what that gives me a good feeling.
No, I fully agree. And because my kids, we briefly talked, are 6 and 8. And that's one of the things that we've somewhat talked about is first teach them money, teach them that type of stuff, how to save, all that. But then there was a video game my son and I were playing, and you can actually buy homes and you rent them out. And then so he'd see the money go back into his account, and he's like, "What's that?" I go, "That's called passive income." Mm-hmm. And I was able to show him. I mean, how much does he understand at the age of 8? I don't know yet, but at least slowly introduction. And I think that's what a lot of, especially in schools, they do not teach. So I think it's very huge as a parent to, especially if you know it, to pass it on.
And that's one thing that, to just coattail that, is my parents always did a great job at making sure I knew the value of a dollar. Mm-hmm. There was no entitlement. There was, you know, if you want something, you work for it. If you want something, you know, and I think my dad actually maybe used that to his benefit a little bit too much. But
no, look at you now and tell me that.
That's a good point. That's a good point, Ian. But I will say I swept that floor of his warehouse a lot. But I will say that they instilled some great work ethics in me and knowing the true value of a dollar and how hard you have to work for it.
Yep. And I want some people to understand your work ethic and to see it in first person. So how would somebody get in contact with you, whether they're looking to buy or sell their home?
That's a great question. Best way is to just give me a call or text me, 317-997-9945. Again, 317-997-9945. And that's Jerry Gordon Real Estate. You can look me up on Instagram or Facebook, and I'll pop up. Make sure you send me a message.
Yep. And to find Ian or I, go to hardworkingmortgageguys.com. That's hardworkingmortgageguys.com. You can look all our information up there, or you can give us a call at 317-672-1938. That's 317-672-1938. And please follow us for more Indy's Real Estate Gurus.
And a reminder, if you have any friends, family, or coworkers looking to buy, sell, refinance, let us know. We'll be more than happy to help. Jerry, thank you for joining us on our show. It's been a pleasure having you on, and I loved hearing all these stories.
No, man, it's definitely pleasures on this side of the table because like I said, I love your guys' energy. I'm a big fan of the show and what you guys do. You guys are definitely hardworking mortgage guys, and you guys are definitely providing a service. I love your platform, and I'm just really honored to be here. And thanks for considering me a real estate guru. And like I said,
you are a guru.
So thank you guys.
We have standards here.
Hold on. But we'll bring back in a couple of years where you actually get some sleep and we get to see his energy volume jump up like 300%.
Wait a second. I saw a huge energy increase when he was talking about his first car.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, he just needs to keep concentrating on that.
No.
There you go. That'll get his, he doesn't need sleep.
Branch NMLS number 33041. Rick Ripma's NMLS number 6645889. Arnold NMLS number is 1995469. Equal housing opportunity. Some restrictions apply.